I'm not cooking today, but I promise I'll do some more of the cooking. I know you guys really like the cooking. I don't know why. It's not like you're going to hear anything big, but I promise you I'm like one of those people who's probably like the laziest cook. So if you like it, then if you're lazy like me, you'll like it. But I wanted to jump on here really quick, and I promise I'll do more with recipes. But to explain to you that everything is temporary, including your life, right? And this is where I think in general, and this is what really helped me, like when I went from the Southern Baptist religion into more of a Buddhist type practice. And Buddhism is not a religion, it's just a way of like life. It's a practice, right? It's a teaching and it's a way of living. But is really good because you don't own anything. Everything is temporary in your life, like I said, including your life. And you don't own people, you don't own situations. You might have a house. Come here. Clover's here. For some odd reason, she's here. She's never really here. Come on. In general, the attachment to things and people, which of course, is a trauma response, right? Like attachments and codependency, that's all a trauma response. Now we know that this is a trauma response. So where you have to be careful is getting into that space of going, well, this is a trauma response. I've been through trauma, or I have anxiety, or I have this, I have that. And you just assume that that's how your life is going to be. But it doesn't have to be, right? Like however you got here doesn't mean that that's where you stay. You know, your current situation doesn't mean that it's your final destination, right? So you need to remember that going into it when things go weird. And ask yourself, like, will this stuff matter to me in 5 years? Will it really matter in 5 years? And remember, it's the attachments. Now listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. You know how much I love my cats. I like new things. I like technology. I like all of that. I like my pool. I'm not attached to them. See, it's a little different, right? You can like stuff, you can enjoy stuff, but the more you go into life thinking of it being a temporary situation and temporary things, you'll have a lot more appreciation to it. I've used this example a lot. If I've given you a private jet, I literally go, here's a private jet for you the entire week. I'm paying for the gas. I'm paying for everything. Go anywhere you want, anywhere in the world you want. But it's temporary. I give it back on Sunday. And you go, oh my God, this is great. You're going to get on there. You're going to really appreciate this plane. You're going to be like, oh my God, this is so cool. I love this so much. And then, but you know that it's a temporary thing. So you really try to enjoy the moment. You try to embrace it. You love every bit of it. Now, let's say it's the same. Now listen, it's the same thing as like having a pool. Love getting my pool. And of course, you know, you have to maintain it and things like that, but I'm not attached to it. So I appreciate it. And it's somewhat temporary each year, right? Because I'm not in it all year round. I don't have a heater. But let's say you had the plane and now it's just yours all the time. You start to take that for granted and you just kind of expect it to be there. So you're like, oh yeah, I'll be there in a minute. I'll be in my plane. Like it's fine. Like you almost like lose appreciation for it, which is the whole, or you lose appreciation, number one, or you take it for granted, right? You take advantage of it where you're like, okay, well, I expect this to be here. I need this in my life. You don't, right? So it's getting clear on that. So it's allowing yourself that space to sit and say, okay, everything's temporary. And the people that you're holding on to as like the life rafts, you can become their anchor. So you have to be really careful of that because the codependency has to be worked on via therapy, coaching, various things like that. But until you're willing to release what no longer serves you and until you're willing to take it on yourself, like remember, trauma is never your responsibility inflicted, but it is your responsibility to heal it, no one else's. So when you let go of the attachment to an apology or to a why or to things like that, then you can start really working on the growth piece of all of that, right? So that's the important factor for you is to really sit and say, okay, why do I feel like I need this? Because again, your entire life is temporary. You're not going to be here forever, at least not in physical form. You might be here spiritually, but you ain't going to be here in physical form. And you're not going to carry all of these human emotions. So knowing that going into it, the more that you're spinning your wheels, worrying about why is this person doing this and why is this person not doing this and why is this happening? Okay, that's so much wasted energy and wasted time. Remember, time is precious. It doesn't really exist, but here on this planet it does, right? Time's somewhat linear. But time is precious. So what are you waiting for? Like, are you waiting to feel comfortable? That's not a real thing. You're waiting to feel motivated. Motivation is BS. Like motivation doesn't happen. It doesn't matter how you feel. I don't feel like doing it. Okay, so what? I don't feel like paying taxes, but I have to do it. I mean, I guess I don't have to, but I do it. I have to sit down and do bills. Not necessarily my most favorite thing on the planet to do, but I do it. So sometimes you have to realize that you have to take what you dread the most and put it front load that in your day. You have to front load that in your day. And to front load it in your day means you're doing the things that you don't really want to do and you're doing first. All right, so as long as you're physically capable, you have to allow you just push yourself out of it. You know, I'm the same way. Get up in the morning and I go, oh my gosh. And I'm like, let me reframe that. Because remember, negative thinking is not a personality trait, it's a habit. So when you work on that and you understand that you don't need anything like that, you don't need to have this said person, you need you. And when you're the foundation, then everything is going to be so much better. But I want you to kind of go into things as everything being temporary. And some of you might spiral, and that just means that you need to stay there and work there, right? Because it is. Everything's temporary. All right, so you're given so much energy to a perfect timing, or I feel like this and I'm not motivated. Okay, wasting time. So that's your kind of like deal, right? And I am doing my podcast, and my Patreon podcast will be up this week as well. So my regular podcast is the Positivity Experience, and the Patreon will be up and it will complement that. Nothing is changing with the free podcast. Nothing stays the same. This is just an add-on that is a paid podcast. You don't have to do it, but if you choose to do it, there'll be different tiers. Working on that as we speak. So love you guys, and promise you I'll do more recipes. Can't promise you they're going to be fabulous, but I'll promise I'll do that.